My name is Hannah, and this is my year of less stuff. Hey y'all, behold my collection of cream and putty and liquid highlighting products. I just swatched all of my cream and liquid blushes, and I thought I would go ahead and swatch all of my cream and liquid highlighters too. So that's it. It's just going to be a fun swatch video, swatch comparisons. I'll talk about the formulas and the colors and everything. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. There aren't nearly as many of these as there are blushes, and I like seeing that a lot of them have gotten a lot of use. So you can see the rim of the bottom of the pan on this one. This one has gotten a lot of use. This one is almost completely finished, and this one is almost completely finished. And it's a little bit harder to tell on this one because it's sort of a liquidy jelly, and so it settles down every time you use it. But quite a lot of this has been used up too, and I know that this is maybe even getting close to being on its last legs. I use it so much. So that's kind of a fun thing about this collection. It's all sort of semi-panned. I'm going to put down this Charlotte Tilbury highlighter first because it is my absolute favorite. I'm going to put it right in the middle and then I'll swatch things next to it. So there's a nice beefy swatch, although I don't know if the lights are doing this one justice. I just know that it gives my cheeks the wettest, most glass-like sheen of any of these other products when I wear it. Let's swatch next to it All right, I just threw this across the room, but I'm going to put it next to the Charlotte Tilbury one. It's the Daniel Sandler watercolor liquid cheek color in Moon Glow. So it's also supposed to be somewhat of a champagne-y thing. It's also very sheeny. It's definitely pinker. It's definitely got that kind of pink, almost icy undertone. And it's really lovely. I find that the intense liquidy formula, like the fact that it's so runny, it's really watery, makes it a little bit harder to control. And so even though the finish is really pretty, that's why I tend to reach for this one more frequently. Colourpop Spoon might be somewhat similar color-wise to the Charlotte Tilbury one. Actually, I'm going to put it on this side. I think, oh, no, it would have been better to put it next to Charlotte Tilbury, but it's okay. So it's more beige than either of them. I would say the Charlotte Tilbury one has a little bit more of that like creamy warmth to it. This one's more pink, and Spoon is really more of like that very pale neutral beige. You know what? I wasn't planning to make this a declutter, but I have been trying to use Colourpop Spoon more since recently I shopped my stash for all of the makeup that I've owned since before my no-buy year. And I can't seem to make much more progress on it than this, partly because I am always reaching for this because I love it so much. And you can see on my arm that it does something pretty similar, but this one is more reliably really shiny and lovely and blends with my other products. But also because I think this has gotten so old that it's lost some of its initial putty creaminess. The initial creaminess of the putty formula has been lost. It doesn't really feel like a Super Shock anymore. It feels a little bit dry and it's starting to crack, and there isn't enough left for me to want to invest in resuscitating it, especially when I have another one that serves the same purpose, but as far as I'm concerned, does it better. So I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye to this during this video. I didn't expect to, but I am. Let's look at Stila Kitten next to that. So this is the Heaven's Hue highlighter in Kitten. It's also a putty. It's very much like a Super Shock, but I feel like it has a real metallic finish, and it also has more color, obviously, than any of the other ones we've swatched so far. But I really like it. On me, it's kind of a bronzy color. This product is similar in some ways. It is the Holika New Drop Lumi Cheek in Bronzed Honey, and you can see that I have used up almost all of it. There's just this little rim around the edge, and it's more of like a set oil than a putty. Color-wise, it's kind of similar to the Stila one. I'm actually going to use up the rest of this space up here swatching this out so that you can kind of get a sense of what a nice shine it gives. Can you see how wet look that is? I don't know if you can really see from this angle with this kind of a swatch, but this is one of the products that makes my cheeks look reliably the most dewy, pretty much of anything. I would even say this gives a more natural dewy shine even than the Charlotte Tilbury one. The Charlotte Tilbury one has the advantage of mixing really well with almost any other product and also completely setting down, whereas the New Drop Lumi Cheek doesn't ever really completely set down. It stays a little bit oily throughout the day, a little bit of a tacky surface, but it's a gorgeous product nonetheless, and that is why I've almost completely used it up. I'm really curious how this Sun Glow by Daniel Sandler will look next to all of these. So pretty. So I haven't actually really been reaching for this one very much because I've thought of it as a bronzer, but swatching it on my arm, you can see that it's not really darker than the Stila one. It really would work as a blush on me. So I'm going to try to go back and give this one more of a chance in the coming days. Fenty, How Many Carats? I think lots of you out there know what there is to know about this highlighter. It's pretty much just a stiff putty that's clear with a suspension of really, really bright glitters in it. So it ends up looking very wet on the skin, very wet, very bright and white because the glitters are kind of like a white reflect. And it can work beautifully. It's the best of its kind for the things that it's great for, but it doesn't work for everything. For example, it doesn't blend very well with blushes. That's the reason that I've tended to overlook it lately, because I've been reaching for the cream cheeks that will blend the best with my blushes. The highlighters, I should say, the cream highlighters, they'll blend the best. But here on my arm with the others, at least from where I'm sitting, it's definitely the brightest because it has those glittery reflects. You know, I'm actually going to swatch it again on my other arm so that I'll have room to swatch these, because I feel like these three are all in a little category unto themselves. So there's Fenty. This right here is another K-Beauty product. It's the Jello-Me highlighter from Holika. And it's really interesting. It's got like it's like a set jelly. You can see it's really shiny. It's really beautiful. Looks wise, it's one of my favorites, absolutely. And then as you spread it out, it starts to dry. Wow, look at that shine. You can really see that, right? And it's got some micro glitters in it. I'm actually going to go ahead and cover it up because I know it dries out really fast. So as you spread it out on your cheeks, it starts to dry. And so there's a finite window of time during which you can work with it. And if you're mixing it with the wrong kind of blush, like if the blush that you're mixing with it stays tacky or has too much oil in it, or maybe doesn't dry at the same rate, it can start to pill. It can be a little bit difficult to work with. And it can even sometimes start to pill on itself if you work on it too much, if you really work it into the cheeks too much, because as it starts to dry down, then the new layers that you're working in will pick up on the under layers and it will pill. So it's a little bit difficult to work with, but I do appreciate that it sets down, and I do really like that product. This one looks very similar, but it's actually very different. It's the Fluid Universal Gloss in Elysium, and it's more of a paste. You can see it's not really a jelly. And it's also really, really shiny and glossy. Kind of more of a bright white gloss there. But it really is a gloss. It's a gloss with these suspended particles in it, and it doesn't set down. So even though these three look really, really similar, one is a putty with suspended glitter, one is like a jelly that completely sets, and one is truly a gloss. It will migrate around the face. It's really beautiful, really glossy looking, but it's the most Vaseline-y of all of them. Of the three, I think I like this middle one the best, this one from Holika, because it sets down and it's so shiny. And looking at the three right here, actually, the one from Fenty is the one that is the least shiny. It's really interesting. So those are all of my non-powder highlighters. We have the New Drop Lumi Cheek here at the top. Stila Kitten, the Heaven's Hue, is the next one down. This one here is Colourpop Spoon, which I am going to be decluttering right now. An oldie but a goodie. It served me well, but it is past its prime. Then we have the highlighting product from Daniel Sandler. It's called Moon Glow. Then we have my holy grail, which is Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Beauty Light Wand. Below that is the Daniel Sandler bronzer, which is just so enticing to me. And then we have Fenty How Many Carats, which is also here, the Gel Me highlighter from Holika, and the Fluid Universal Gloss. Look how glossy that gloss is. It's really glossing right there. That's it. That's all of them. That's the whole banana. That's the whole video. If you have any questions, of course, put them in the comment section and I'll try to answer them. This was fun. This was fun to do. I like this collection. This feels like a good little size for me. There's enough to play with, there's variety, but this is a small enough group of products that I'm actually starting to make my way through them. I'm starting to pan them. And this one I do feel like, even though I didn't quite finish every drop of it, I really feel like I did my duty when it came to this product. And I feel like that's happening with other ones of these. So it's nice to see that. Thank you for being here, and don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.